military personnel at Moody and those that are in our country and working abroad. We pray protection and blessing upon them and their families. We pray, Lord, for tonight we might be mindful of the business of the city, and may it all come to please you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everybody. Item 2 on our agenda tonight is a very special one. Our awards and presentations. It's a special presentation for the 2023 Valdosta Historic Preservation Awards. This one's going to be Jeff Rammer's show. So Jeff, you'll join me up front.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our presentation for the 2023 Valdosta Preservation Awards. We have 5 properties to recognize this evening for successful preservation projects. But first, let me give you a little background. For those of you who don't know, May is National Historic Preservation Month. This May is the 50th anniversary of Preservation Month, which is recognized by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. All over the country, organizations and governments and historical societies recognize preservation activities. And Valdosta has done this for many years as well. One of the ways Valdosta recognizes Preservation Month is through its Preservation Awards. Since 2009, 37 projects and 6 individuals have been recognized for their contributions to historic preservation in Valdosta. We have 5 categories, as you see here. The Cliffs Notes version on the definitions is as follows. Distinguished merit is generally for smaller scale projects. Excellence in new construction is recognized for projects that are compatible with the local district and the district design guidelines. Stewardship is generally for ongoing long-term preservation. Outstanding achievement is for larger scale projects. And lifetime achievement is for an individual who has devoted considerable amount of time and devotion to local historic preservation. This year, you'll see we have 5 winners in 4 different categories. This is the order in which we'll present the awards. Each recipient will receive a banner and a framed certificate, which we have up here. We'll also pause briefly in between for pictures. The mayor will join me. Dr. Alex Alvarez is the chairman of the Preservation Commission. Will also join me in the pictures. So without further ado, let's get started. The first recipient is 1609 North Patterson Street. We all know this is the Greater Valdosta United Way. They received a Distinguished Merit Award for roof replacement, ADA accessibility, and foundation stabilization work. As you can imagine, the organization has a lot of visitors. Public accessibility is an important feature. These ramps are erected in the rear, not readily visible from the front. They're removable, but they get the job done, and they're basically what the guidelines would call for. The United Way also renovated a rear accessory building. Though this building is not historic like the main building, which dates to 1899, it's a functional adaptive reuse and a gathering space that they use. Back to the front, you see the roof replacement, aesthetically pleasing and compatible architectural shingles, a large wraparound front porch, beautiful New South Cottage property with hints of Greek Revival style. Finally, you see the brick pier in infill with venting foundation. The property has been stabilized, and it should give the organization many more years as an adequate home, and this work will help it ensure the property continues to contribute to the significance and the integrity of the local historic district. So, the United Way, our first winner this evening for distinguished merit. Is anyone here on behalf of the United Way, by chance?
We like him this morning. He was excited about it. So what are those for?
So, our second recipient property is 202 East Alden Avenue. This property was renovated by Alfred Willis. And the components of the project included some additions and some rehabilitation, and we have a few photos which will help illustrate these changes. Not too long ago, the property was an American small house with fairly unadorned features. Probably the most unique feature was the decorative scallop trim in the front porch pediment. Of course, that remains. But the property, as you can see, has been given new life. New garage on the side, some additional living space in the rear, new landscaping in the front. Again, another view before the recent renovations, the old roof, the old porch, more limited floor space, and you see the transformation. The front porch still has the scallop trim. The porch is a bit larger, projecting outward slightly farther. There's new concrete walkway and landscaping. From the other side, the old concrete drive, no garage. The side of the house had slightly different makeup. There was a bump-out room there. But now you see the garage. The interior chimney is now an exterior chimney, pebble and concrete driveway, walkway. The front porch, lattice infill between the columns. New driveway extends to the street with ribbons. You see a good pad turnaround in front of the garage, but the front yard remains mostly grass. Again, alterations to the front porch were the most highly scrutinized feature of the project as the character-defining feature, but the commission felt it worked. We also see a new roof, painted exterior, brickwork on the steps was redone as well. The view from the southwest corner, exterior chimney, and finally, the side with the new garage or carport. You see the scallop trim detailing was actually added to the new addition as well. So 202 East Alden Avenue, and contractor Avery Walden, our second winner this evening for excellence in new or compatible construction in the historic district.
The whole corridor.
Third recipient, property is 904 North Patterson Street. I'm sure we're all familiar with this property, the Crescent. This is where historic preservation began in Valdosta in the 1950s. This was slated to become a gas station, but a group of women thought better of it, and I think we can all agree that this probably worked out as a better outcome. So with the award for stewardship, it's not just for the Crescents. Of course, the main neoclassical building is the property's primary feature, but there are also other buildings on the lot. Number 1, as you see up there, is the chapel. Number 2, the schoolhouse. And number 3, the auditorium. Of course, number 4, the crescent is pictured there. Basically, this award is for the long-term care of the entire property and all of its buildings. This is the chapel. It also shows a fair amount of the gardens. Chapel recently received new siding, new windows. There was roof work. It also experienced some repairs to the cupola and the front doors. It was painted. Here's the schoolhouse. Building experienced similar exterior repairs as the chapel. All of these repairs have been similar in-kind material replacements. You see the rather unique wood shake siding. The auditorium building is the 3rd accessory structure on the property. The building also has undergone repairs with similar in-kind materials. Auditorium is another gathering space on the property. It was added in the late 50s, but now it carries its own historic significance. And of course, the crescent itself also received some repairs, siding and windows. A lot of the recent work has been done on the sides and the rear in areas pictured here. Also, the windows above the front portico were recently refurbished by a professional conservator. Leaded glass windows, they're a nice character-defining feature for a high-style architectural property such as this. The roof and the portico soffits have been restored. 13 columns on the portico are arguably the most distinctive feature of the crescent. Also, you have a balconette with a balustrade, decorative brackets, looks coffered underneath. So, in sum, Valdosta has a great sense of gratitude to the Garden Club for their efforts in preserving this historical gem. It's certainly not easy, nor is it inexpensive, but preserving this property for future generations is certainly worth it. So with that said, the Crescent Complex is the 3rd winner of this evening for stewardship.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're on to our final 2. Both of these properties have been recognized with the highest level of achievement. First of which is the property at 220 North Patterson Street, pictured here. This is First Methodist Church, the corner with Valley Street. The scope of the work on this project included a large-scale roof repair and replacement to the historic slate roof. It also included repairs to the EFIS exterior cladding, which for those unfamiliar with the term, is basically synthetic stucco finish system. In 2021, the church had the roof surveyed. The Buckingham slate was deemed to be in fairly good condition and can serve as the base for an adequate roofing for another 50 or 75 years with some necessary maintenance. Valleys, the seams, the flashing needed to be addressed. There were some slates that needed replacing. The fastening system was also in pretty good shape. So to make a long story short, the congregation raised the necessary funding and sought the repairs. Tiles were replaced as necessary. Surfaces were repaired and repainted. Step and counter flashings were replaced. Here you see, a portion of the roof prior to the work. some missing tiles, moisture damage, ridge lines and valleys need some touch-up. This image shows the work following completion. The ridge lines addressed, valleys clean, missing tiles replaced. The towers and steeples are areas where you can really see the changes in before and after images. Not only do you see the worn tiles, but the weathering and moisture damage on the entablatures, the cornice. The ephes is also worn. But again, you see these issues corrected. The elements of this tower have been given new life. The tiles and detailing rectified. Here you see an old valley, some flashing, a few cracked tiles, some deteriorated metal. Of course, the work has addressed these issues as well. The ridges, the valleys, the tiles, the flat surfaces, the new copper. One final look at the old roof, clearly some deterioration, but the new work, as you can see, looks great. The Buckingham slate should last another 100 years or so. So in sum, the First Methodist embarked on a major rehabilitation of one of the most important structural systems in the building, the roof, which protects it. They also repaired the exterior cladding material in the areas that needed it. So with the scale and expense of a project such as this, First Methodist Church is recognized for outstanding achievement for its contribution to historic preservation in Valdosta.
We'd like to thank you for making us feel big time. We had 2 cranes in downtown at one time.
That's right. Thank you.
We've reached the final recipients in our awards this evening. We have another fantastic rehabilitation project to recognize in our downtown area. The historic Mackey Building, pictured here, has been renovated for adaptive reuse. Property is 4 floors. All of the floors have been rehabilitated for new uses. First floor is Good Coffee. This is open now for about a year. The second, third, and fourth floors recently saw their renovations completed. Second floor will be event space. Third and fourth floor are now boutique hotel rooms. It's worth noting that this project was a historic tax credit project. So the rehabilitation was completed in compliance with the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. This level of preservation project is signed off on the State Historic Preservation Office and the National Park Service. So we'll take a quick look at the renovations. This was the first floor space prior to the work. One of the biggest changes will be the flooring. Decorations, also more modern now, for what is now a coffee shop. This is Good Coffee as you see it today. Pine flooring, modern fixtures, art on the walls. Murals have also been added at the far end. It's incredibly popular downtown. It's pretty good coffee, and I can attest the salads and sandwiches are pretty good too. Make it a habit going there every day. The second floor used to be sanctuary for Christ the King Episcopal Church. This has since been renovated as an event space for the new boutique hotel, the Mackey. Earlier this month, the Valdosta Heritage Foundation had its annual banquet dinner there. I believe that was the first formal event held there. Again, pine flooring, mechanical systems hidden in the ceiling. Modern fixtures. Most of the windows in the building have been changed out, clad wood, framed windows, in accordance, again, with the Secretary of Interior standards. Comfortable event space for about 100 people. We also have some before and after photos of the third and fourth floors as well. Again, these floors were rehabilitated and converted into 12 boutique hotel rooms, 6 on each floor. As you can see, the historic fabric largely remains, modern fixtures. This is looking down one of the hallways upstairs, clean polished flooring, historic doors, hardware remain. This is one of the upstairs rooms before the renovations, stripped down to the bare bones, so to speak. The same view now completed. The new furnishing has been delivered. Not quite set up yet in this photo, but I can assure you that they're up now. Each of the rooms has its own theme based on a historic association of some kind, whether it's a business or a person or an event, something related to Valdosta. They did enclose a few spaces upstairs. This area off the elevator used to be, looks like a sitting area. You see the interior windows in these spaces. Those have also been enclosed for privacy for each of the rooms. Same area, now enclosed to make a hotel room. And you see the elevator to the left. Those interior windows have been enclosed. This view down the hallway beforehand shows the spaces as offices. You see the interior windows, exposed acoustical ceiling panels, sprinklers. Here you see the view rehabilitated, the windows filled in, ceiling changed, modern fixtures, clean, crisp lines. Finally, another beforehand look into an upstairs office. The arched exterior windows. Now you see it renovated, converted to a wet bar. It's kind of a sitting area in one of the rooms. It's clear that a great deal of work went into this project. A lot of people were involved, a preservation architect, a diligent contractor, and a devoted owner willing to give the support the project needed with the necessary funding and expertise. So with that said, we recognize the Mackey and the entire property at 101 East Central Avenue for outstanding achievement in building rehabilitation. And we thank all of those involved for a wonderful project. Thank you.
Go, Michael.
Yeah. Mr. Smith, if you'd like to come up, we could, yes.
We bragged on you already. One of the kids went to eat and walked around. Thank you.
For coming out. I appreciate it, and thanks again to all the winners. A great deal of work went into it, and we appreciate it in the historic district and the core of downtown.
Move on to item 3, the approval of the minutes of the May 11th meeting. Council, you've had time to review those minutes. Are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, they're approved by acclamation. We move on to item 4, ordinances and resolutions. Item A, consideration of an ordinance to amend the requirements and procedures for the renaming and or closing of streets. This is our second reading, and no doubt our city engineer will present it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We had the opportunity in our last meeting to discuss this ordinance in detail. One of the main concerns during the last meeting was the addition of some language to provide for and require the advertisement of street closures and street renamings using the available social media platforms the city maintains. If you'll scroll through in your agenda packet, I've highlighted in yellow that added text. That added text appears in both the road closure and the road renaming section of the ordinance, and should sufficiently cover, I think it will provide adequate advertisement via the social media platforms that we maintain. Hopefully do a better job of helping people stay in the loop when stuff like this is coming up. So I'm here to answer any additional questions that you may have about the ordinance. If you have
Any questions for Ben? Ben, thank you. Council, I'll turn it over to you for action.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this ordinance.
I have a motion
I was going to say renovation, but
with minor changes.
with the changes that have been highlighted in yellow.
Second. A motion and a second. Any further comments? Council, all in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Thank you, Council. We'll now move on to item 5. This is citizens to be heard. It's the portion of the meeting we asked you to come forward, state your name and address so we may have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that others have time to be heard. Please direct all comments to council as a whole. Don't attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It is our policy to follow through with you on your concern almost immediately. Additionally, we ask any groups that want to address the council designate one spokesperson to represent the group so all may have time to be heard. With that being said, are there any citizens to be heard at this time?
Well, I'm Alfred Willis, and I'm appearing on behalf of my clients, the Quality of Life Association of Valdosta. I'm an architectural historian of 4153 Stonehall Boulevard, Hermitage, Tennessee. The city of Valdosta has threatened to demolish the structure at 400 South Ashley Street, subject to a hearing in municipal court set for June 12th. This structure is what remains of the eastern half of a large multi-use entertainment and retail complex, including the Liberty Theater and the Liberty Club, which both opened in 1941. It is now owned by the nonprofit Quality of Life Association, or QOLA. It is one of the chief contributing properties of Valdosta's South Side Historic District, a National Register district. It is one of the earliest pieces of international-style modern architecture in Valdosta, and in fact, is one of the best commercial examples of that style to be found anywhere in South Georgia. It is significant not only to Georgia's architectural history, but also to Georgia's business history, since it was built to serve the Martin Theater's chain during its expansion into one of the South's leading businesses. But it is especially significant to the African-American cultural heritage of Valdosta. During the Jim Crow era, the Liberty Complex anchored Valdosta's so-called colored business district on South Ashley Street. For decades, both the Liberty Theater and the Liberty Club brought to Valdosta many of America's best performing artists, people of the caliber of Ella Fitzgerald, to name only one example. To black Valdostans of the mid-20th century, those venues represented almost the only opportunity to socialize and enjoy life in high-quality surroundings. Therefore, the structure at 400 South Ashley embodies many of their most pleasant memories remaining from a difficult era. It is a treasure on par with the Crescent and deserves to be treasured. It is imperative that Valdosta preserve this landmark for the enjoyment and education of future generations of both locals and visitors. And I thank the Council for allowing me to bring the importance of the Liberty Complex and the plight of its component at 400 South Ashley to your attention.
Mr. Willis, thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
Hello, my name is Erica Hill Miller. I am also a member of the QOLA board. I'm here along with Mr. Turner, our chairman of the QOLA board. I'm here tonight to ask you guys for your support of the Liberty Theater and the Liberty Club to help us stabilize and return it to the original status as a Valdosta showcase. We believe if we can preserve this landmark that is registered in the National Historic South Side of Valdosta Historic District, if we can preserve this, we believe that this will be a great landmark for tourism whenever they come visit the city of Valdosta. I think no one would like to see this building or buildings, the Liberty Theater and the Liberty Club, to be demolished. It would be a disgrace to this community to see such rich history go to waste. We agree with the city. We need to do something with that place. But as a nonprofit organization, for years, we can only do so much alone. I have reached out to many city officials. Tonight, I'm just asking for more support from you all. If I go to the Valdosta Historic Preservation Office, I want to feel welcoming. I want to be able to receive information without being told, oh, you're not on the map for the local historic district, but we are on the National Register Historic District map. So tonight I'm here just to bring awareness and pleading for support. Our next court date is June the 12th, and the municipal judge told us if we do not have secure grant funding, which is so unrealistic, to have a grant approved by June the 12th. We need additional time. We need your support. I'm not sure if we need an individual meeting with the city council meeting or what, but we do not want to see this building demolished. We do not want to have to give ownership in order to get support. So if you do have any donation funding or just the support of helping us preserve that. And tonight, I am glad I came tonight. We want one day to get like them and to see one day the Liberty Club and the Liberty Theater to be recognized on preserving that landmark. Thank you.
Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard on a different subject other than the Liberty Theater?
Good evening. My name is Janice Monaco. I live in Mr. Carroll's district. I'm here to bring to the council our concern regarding the property taxes. I understand most of the taxes are from the county, but as our city council, I would hope that you represent us to the city county commissioners. My first argument is, in previous years, the city council has rolled back the millage rate to the rollback rate of 7.542. Last year, you brought it up to 7.796. This year, rather than go back to the rollback, you stayed at 7.796. This increased my property tax 3.37%. Doesn't sound like a lot until you're paying it out. Also, city councilman and the county tax assessor both told me assessments are done by quadrants. So it takes a few years to get back to your quadrant. I was assessed last year and this year. Let me tell you, I'm only here 2.5 years. I am not happy. I'm thinking we made a mistake coming to Valdosta. We moved here not because of this, but my mother came from Valdosta. We always thought it was a great place. Changing my mind. The homestead exemption, why is that not increasing with my assessment? My assessment goes up, and quite a bit, 28.87% in 2 years. I should get more of a homestead exemption, I think. Other counties give seniors a break on school taxes. Can you ask the county commissioners why we don't get that break? I think I've covered everything.
And Janice, if you'll stay after the meeting, we'll come down and talk to you.
All right, because I am not happy. My husband and I are really sorry we moved to Valdosta. Oh, I know. I've been on Facebook and everything else, but I don't know if anyone else showed up. A lot of people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other citizens wishing to?
Monaco, MONACO.
Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Kelly Saxon, and I serve as a representative for the Region 4 Advisory Council for DBHDD. This afternoon, I come before Mayor and Council asking for consideration of employment for a bridge program with Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation, VOC Rehab, for support positions such as entry-level custodian, sanitation, etc. type positions. VOC Rehab works to achieve employment and independence for Georgians with disabilities. The program's local office is located in the Department of Labor. This partnership will be inclusive and help individuals who desire and are able to work but have limitations such as obtaining a high school diploma or GED or a driver's license in order to be employed by the city. Known as the City Without Limits, this bridge program chips away at barriers for able-bodied citizens. Lastly, many thanks for your partnership, attendance, sponsorship, proclamation, and support for the Breaking Barriers events that were held last month. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, we'll close out this portion of the meeting and move on to item 6, the city manager's report. Richard Hurd.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. Next week we will celebrate our city employees for Employee Appreciation Day. This is May the 31st, Wednesday at Saunders Park. We will be putting on a employee food truck, give the employees an opportunity to get out, take a break from our work, and enjoy. On June the 1st, Thursday at 6 p.m., open testing for the Valdosta Police Department. This will take place at the City Hall Annex Multi-Purpose Room. On June the 14th, Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Goodwill Youth Tour with the city will begin at 09 a.m. with a tour of the water treatment plant, and it will run all the way until the students actually depart at 3 p.m. Right now, if you hear the music outside, what's taking place is the Bougie Flea Market. Started at 5:30, art and vintage vendors. Bands on site, Mama Stone. So after you depart here tonight, walk on over and enjoy the festivities. Thanks, Mayor.
Richard, thank you. We'll move on to item 7, council comments. Council, any comments at this time? And I'll start to my left.
Well, I just want to say one thing too. I was happy that someone came up here today to talk about the historical buildings in the black area, because there are some. I really have not, since I've been around here, had the opportunity to have anyone come out and talk about any of the black historical buildings or events are happening. It's like nothing is historical, but it is. I mean, I can remember all of them, even the buildings that they talked about tonight, and I saw the faces of how everybody was so happy to hear about the buildings that they had a part of, were doing something with, and everything like that. It does make you feel good to know you were part of this building or you're a part of something that was history here in Valdosta. I mean, it feels good. And I'm glad to see that because as a citizen who's been around Valdosta for close to 70 years, I've seen a lot of the buildings that you talked about tonight, which is great. I felt good looking at them and seeing how they haven't been involved, knowing some of the people who have been involved with them. But I'm going to say there are some black buildings like that too. And I think they need a little recognition, even though Valdosta does not seem to have black history here. But it is here, y'all. And I'm glad y'all came up to speak on it. I'm hoping everything will go well with it because it's something we need to do or something. I mean, are there any black historical buildings around?
There are many, yes.
Are they recognized?
Yeah, many have been recognized even on a national registry, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other council comments? Eric?
I'd like to address the lady who came up here speaking about her taxes. I'd like to see if, I know that we said that, they're assessed by the county, but is there anything that we can do to help people when they go through their appeal process, other than just stating that, it's just something that the county can do. There's nothing we can do. If we could possibly help those people out with going through the appeal process and let them know why their taxes are what they are and how they're assessed.
Yeah.
And secondly, back to Miss Hill, when she came up, she said they're on the national registry. I want to see if there's anything that we can do to help her. If there's a date, when she's saying, the judge saying there's a date, for next month, is there anything that we can do to help them with that date if they have any funding, scheduled to come in? If there's something that we can do, speak with the judge to try to extend that with helping them get this funding that they need or securing that building.
So to the first, and council, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Board of Assessors that makes the initial assessment. There is a trigger number to appeals. There is a certain percent, and I believed it to be 10% that appeal that. It triggers a reassessment, meaning we blew it or they went too high. So we'll see. The outrage is pretty great on that one, so we'll see what number it hits. Either way, you get an individual hearing and assessment and reassessment as well. Yeah, good luck. Truly. About accurate?
I think you're correct, yes.
Right. And on the Liberty Theater, again, council, I came to you and asked to shift some ARPA money. The ARPA money unfortunately comes with stipulations that it be for public use and into the public trust. So my offer for $500,000 of restoration for the Liberty Theater unfortunately came with the stipulation that it be surrendered for public use. And then that could trigger our restoration. I do understand that we're under a tight timeline, and we will try and explore that option and others as well. So if that explains the second half of your question as well. No more council comments. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Council, thank you.